Trash tries to portray the downside and ecological dangers associated with utilizing landfills to store and hide our trash and waste. And Garbage Warrior really attempts to explain the issues associated with society and the troubles with trying to establish sustainable and industry independent architecture. It explains the corruption of the legal system and false agendas of the power and water companies. It tries to explain that the world is only going to seek out alternative sustainable options when it is already crumbling. So first, a couple themes that I found in Trash were overconsumption, corruption, waste, and the industry. And the director of Trash uses many testimonies from elected officials, school children, and those that are directly affected by this dumping onto the earth to explain the dangers of this activity. And on page 44, Carolyn says, I do not see waste as a problem of management, if merely a management issue. The problem of waste would disappear once we figured out how to utilize resources more efficiently during the production process and improve our disposal techniques. And I really think this directly correlates with this message of the film because there is an enormous amount of waste in this nation, and simply dumping it is not hiding it. It's just causing a bigger problem in the long run. And Garbage Warrior, some themes that I found were corruption, greed, and sustainability. And Mike is utilizing this documentary to illustrate his own experiences with the justice system and trying to create a sustainable housing on a large scale. And his struggles of losing his license and not initially getting his bill passed really speak to the struggles of those trying to improve the conditions on Earth by limiting their carbon footprint. And this guy really does help to explain the fact that the government and people are not going to want to change immediately and convert the ways to more sustainable and healthy life and healthy living. People do not realize that their activities and their lifestyles are actually killing the earth. And ideas from this movie really do go back to our numerous discussions about how corporations prioritize money over the well being of the common people. And I think that both films try to convey the idea that the government is corrupt and people need to change their ways. On page 203, Jensen says, trying to force sustainability onto a functionally unsustainable culture causes severe cognitive dissonance and makes people suggest absurd solutions. And I think this is something that both films really speak on. In Trash, it occurs when lawmakers try to justify putting a landfill next to a school. They claim that it has no adverse health effects and that they can use its methane as a resource, but they are clearly ignoring the issue of landfills and how bad they are for the environment and justify why they need one next to a school, which is absolutely absurd. And in Garbage Warrior, when Mike is trying to get the law established, he caused many issues with the lawmakers because they were trying to suggest changes in his wording, and I think the changes in the wording really were just to satisfy the lawmakers and benefit them in the long run. For example, they were just like, well, how about if you do this and add this, take this out? And ultimately, they were just trying to dilute his intention with their own solutions and suggestions. In contrast, Garbage really tries to implicate the fact that the waste can still be used to create houses, while Trash just complains about the waste problem without a positive solution other than to stop all the dumping. And on page 48, Carolyn says that there is no waste in the so-called natural world. Everything released, emitted, secreted, and discarded is food for something else. Waste refers to what we have no use for. And I think that both movies approach this definition of waste differently. The director of Trash makes it known that our so-called waste has no use and that it is destroying the earth because we cannot find an effective way of disposing it. The only suggestion it has is to combat our overconsumptive waste. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, Garbage Warrior makes it known that our waste still has value and that there is a utilization of waste in the creation of homes that he has designed. And this is especially useful when he's in Indonesia trying to help with disaster relief. Like I said before, I really think Trash does a great job of explaining the problem with dumping and all the environmental and health costs associated with it, but it doesn't really come up with a way to combat the issue. We know dumping is bad, but what can we do instead of dumping? And the Garbage Warrior does a great job of explaining the benefits to his alternative housing and does a great way of showing how it can be used on any landscape with any climate and also how it can be used in times of disaster. And I think he does a great job of explaining the process behind getting his bill passed, but I don't really know if his housing method is plausible on a large scale. Overall, I really think both movies are a great watch to get more informed about the injustices that go on around our nation. They really keep the user focused because they kind of make you angry and want to make you learn more. But I definitely like the Garbage Warrior more because of the architect's creations were unbelievably outstanding, and because I was already aware of some of the landfill practices that go on in this country. But I did manage to learn a lot from Trash as well.